good, everybody? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. My name is Ben Alisea, owner of Blackground Productions, and I'm so excited to be doing this video. Also, big shout out to all of you who are subscribed. Big shout out because today, I missed the time that it happened, but today we hit 2,000 subscribers on this channel.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for.
So like, big shout outs to all of you. I love every single one of y'all that have been like subscribing, supporting, like literally like commenting all down below. And literally we got so much great feedback from the trailer for this, for Combaticons Combined Part 2. And I'm so excited for when we finally release that. But today, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of the journey. Thank you so much for just like showing support and just like enjoying the content that I put out there. I'm excited for what I have in store for y'all. Anyways, today, along with the celebration of 2K, we are doing a Q&A video about the series, Transformers Prime Covenant of Primus, and the episodes tied into that series, Combaticons Combined Parts 1 and 2. Now, I released Combaticons Combined Part 1 a couple months back, last year, and y'all loved it. That thing has amassed over 30,000 views, actually over 36,000 views, and yo, big ups to y'all, appreciate y'all. But today we're gonna do some questions. I know y'all have questions about both the series and the Combaticons and just how this is all gonna work out. So we're gonna dive into these questions right away. I'm gonna try my best not to spoil a lot because I want y'all to be like excited and that it's like it comes fresh and it's like, oh my gosh, wasn't expecting this. You know what I'm saying? So the first question is, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Yorleni Castro. I'm gonna do it with an accent for them. Would you be planning to make more parts to this project? If so, would we see more of the Combaticons individually, like getting backstories on each of them or seeing their goals? So I don't plan to do a continuation like part 3, part 4 of Combaticons Combined because it's really Combaticons Combined parts 1 and 2 is really the origin story of how the Combaticons, one of the biggest, baddest combat teams on the Decepticon ranks, becomes the big bad battling Bruticus. And so when I was first creating the story, I had been like looking into all the stories. I loved the video games growing up, Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron. Those were my favorite games of Transformers, and I'm excited for when we get Reactivate. Big shout outs, hope you don't mess this up, Hasbro. I wanted to do a good origin story because like when I read the book, Shockwave kind of already had it down of combiners because combiners, the only being capable of combination in Transformers at the time was, I forgot his name, Nexus Prime. I literally have it in my episode, I mentioned it. That Nexus Prime was the only being in Transformers capable of combination. Obviously that's not true because we got Devastator, we have Menasor, we have Bruticus, we have Superion, we Computron, if I remember right. There's another one I'm trying to remember, Defensor, there we go. And there's many others, there's even the Horrorcons or Terracons that combine into Abominus. Basically, what I wanted to do was give a good like origin story of how combiners were made because Shockwave, that was one of his biggest projects and that became a very crucial weapon in the War for Cybertron. So when I was first creating the story, I wanted it to be something brand new, something out of Shockwave's project vault that Megatron's like, okay, we need something new. We need something good that can beat the Autobots. So Bruticus, the biggest combiner, big bad combiner, works perfectly for this character. So when I was writing the story, I'm thinking, okay, it's just gonna have 2-part episodes because that's really all. And I wanted to have some sort of mystery that, like, as you saw in part 1, the Autobots were defending what they thought the Combaticon or the Decepticons were after, which was the Spark Extractor. Now, it is a very devastating weapon, so it makes sense that the cons would want to retrieve it and use it again. But obviously, the cons do not get it back until later in Transformers Prime. And I don't know if I've explained this, but I'm trying to keep events consistent with the events mentioned in Transformers Prime. So at some point, Autobots confiscated this weapon, and the Decepticons come to get it. That's what the Autobots think. But in reality, they're getting the parts that Shockwave needs to build a combiner, Bruticus. But yeah, to answer your question, if we're gonna make more parts to Combaticons Combine, we are not. We're gonna just stick with the 2. But throughout the series, I do plan to go into the different backgrounds of the Combaticons, because the way the series is going to work, and I'll explain it in a bit, is like we're going to kind of get to know a bunch of these characters little by little throughout each season. But yeah, to answer your question, that main question, no, I don't plan to do more than 2 parts of Combaticons Combine. This second question is from Nightbird Entertainment. My question is, where you got that Onslaught, because it's honestly bigger than the official Fall Cybertron one, and because of that, I feel like it fills out the combiner better. I do agree, and I got this from, I'm gonna throw a little PNG up here. It's Microblaze Creation Military Titans. And so basically it's a whole new Onslaught figure, as you guys saw, and I don't have him here with me, hang on. So this right here is Onslaught. I kind of modified him a bit, so he has been painted metallic colors, along with he has a bit of he had some like panels here that was part of his mode, but I took him off to kind of like, because he is a bit hard to animate, I will say that. If I have him just like how he normally is, his arms will go like a bit wobbly. Right now they're fine, which is perfect for me. This side, yeah, as you can see, pretty loose, unfortunately, but it's okay. In fact, this works better because it's on a ratchet joint. But to explain more about this figure, basically, as y'all can tell, it's an upgraded version, heavily upgraded version of Onslaught, and I thought it was better because as of lately, any combiners we got had a Voyager as the main body, and then the rest were deluxe figures that worked as arms or legs, and that was perfect. That was right. Hasbro, in the very beginning, when they first released the Fall Cybertron figures, didn't quite do this. They did all the deluxe figures, including Onslaught, and I think that was a bit of a mess up on their part. Here's a bit of a PNG of what the retail version versus the upgrade version looks like. You can tell there's a big difference between the two. But yeah, he came with some upgrades for Brawl, some upgrades for Swindle, so like a better head sculpt for Swindle, along with a better chest plate, and so like to make him look a little bit more screen accurate. And these parts also help them look a lot better in their alt mode, not specifically their vehicle mode, but their alt mode for Bruticus. So literally I have a Brawl, so like right here, this is the part for Bruticus's foot and for Brawl, and literally it looks so much better when I was looking at it, because it looks much more accurate to the game. And the same goes for the Swindle piece. I don't have it with me right now, but it looks so much better for the design for Bruticus, because it literally looks perfectly like him. And it comes with also his classic flamethrower that we had in the game. And so I was like, bro, I'm gonna mess around with that the whole time. Unfortunately, if you guys are looking to get Microblaze Creations Military Titans, I don't think you're gonna have a bunch of luck. He is very hard to find. I was blessed to get this guy. I got this guy for $540. I'm pretty sure he was probably less than that, but yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it, because I love having this guy. I love animating Bruticus. I don't enjoy animating Onslaught a lot, but it's fun to use him in certain scenes, especially big shout outs to Alex Justice, who is voicing Onslaught in my series. But yeah, to answer your question, I just got it on eBay. He was selling it for about 540 bucks. And so I'm like, it was literally the last one that I could find, and I really wanted that figure for my story. So I bought him. I originally was gonna use Combiner Wars Bruticus and then maybe buy some upgrade parts. But I'm happy with my purchase. I don't regret spending that much money. Even though it's a lot, I don't regret it. And from Prince Productions, what's your favorite figure to film, and do you need any voice actors for any characters? I love how we were just talking about how I don't like to animate Onslaught. My favorite figure to film as of right now would probably have to be between Megatron and Shockwave. I really like animating Megatron because you have a little more articulation to him than you do with certain figures or certain versions of Megatron. Still learning because like I have quite a bit. As you can see back here, I have quite a bit of figures, and even there's a shelf inside on this side over here that's full of figures. But as of right now, I would say Megatron is my favorite figure to film with because he has fluid motion. There's no ratchet joints, which kind of, to me, hinders like certain movements, as you saw in Combaticons Combined Part 1 when I used him. Especially, I think my favorite bit to do, just because of how clean it looked, was when Megatron gets mad during the scene and slaps Onslaught. I literally captured that. I remade that from the scene in Transformers Prime, where he is talking to Smokescreen, and he's like, "Why? Who wants to know?" And Megatron's getting ready to like slap him so hard, and I'm like, "Oh, bruh." So I decided to go through with that and use that, and he just like falls through with the slap.
We can form a better strategy.
As far as voice actors for any characters, I will eventually post up auditions for y'all. For anyone who wants to be a part of it. It's gonna be a while before we get more episodes moving, just because like I need to buy certain figures, I need to build certain sets. So I don't want to say this character is available yet until we get to being able to be ready for production. So as of right now, I don't need any. If you're asking about Combaticons Combined Part 2, I have all the actors I need. I have all the voice lines done for this, and I already finished the sound mix for the episode. I just need to finish filming and do some special effects for it. But yeah, so I will keep y'all posted, like I said, if we need voice actors. This question is coming from Gravy613. How long do you plan to make the series? I have talked about it with one of my co-writers and actors. He plays Bruticus, the boy, the man, the myth, the legend, Lord Omega Andy. I said Omega, I meant to say just Mega. But so he and I have like talked about series, and I also talked about it with Fortress Maximus, who voices Starscream, Ratchet, and Ironhide. Good lord, I'm sorry, I kept forgetting. He voices Cup 2 in Combaticons Combined Part 2, as you will see. And he voices quite a bit more. But yeah, so we had talked, I talked to them individually of how we're gonna do this. Basically, I plan to stretch it out for a good couple of seasons. Not a lot of episodes, just depending on the story and how it plays out. I'm not entirely sure yet. I want to go for maybe like a good couple of seasons and then close it off. And if I were to give you an exact amount of seasons, I can't say how many episodes per season. I want to say a good 6 because, and I'll get to it in a second because there's another question asking about the series. But I really want to tell a great story. And so far, Combaticons Combined has been a great success so far. So I'm excited for when we release Part 2 and y'all can get... Because when I was doing... The reason I've been doing this particular 2 episodes is because it's to get your attention. It's to kind of get you guys invested in this series. But yeah, so that's why... I want to say 6 seasons. I want to say 6 seasons. Maybe a bit more, and then a spin-off series following afterwards. But yeah, we'll see. I still gotta plan it out, but we're kind of like halfway through planning out this series. Big Al SM, what was the main inspiration for this series? There we go. I really love Transformers Prime. By far one of my favorite shows, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me that it's one of the best Transformers series in existence right now. Michael Bay films, yeah, they're pretty cool. The action's pretty dope, but it can be. I find it wanting. I'm wanting more, or I find it lacking some elements in it, especially the last two movies. The first three, fantastic. I love them. They were super dope, especially for a live action film. But they should have just ended it at 3. But anyways, the main inspiration is because like I feel like there was a lot untold story, and there's so much lore in the Transformers, especially since it is set in the Aligned Continuity. There's a lot of stuff that was like left out, but obviously it doesn't all need to be mentioned, but I feel like it deserves to be brought to the big screen or brought into a film. So that's my main inspiration, is because like I want to tell good story. There's some stories that I feel like deserve to be on screen instead of just being in writing. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. ShayJ. Yeah, I think that's right. ShayJ Multiversal. My question is, does the story take place before Transformers Prime? And if so, why do you have Optimus in his Beast Hunter's body? I think there's a follow-up thing on there. Might have been from Rincraft1234. Might have been the only Aligned Continuity TF figure that they had that could work with the scale of the other characters. So you're not far off, but at the same time, the reason why I used the Beast Hunter's body and I heavily modified it, as you guys have seen, it's because I wanted something that looked more Cybertron-esque to the character in Transformers, especially since this is based in Cybertron. So we're not gonna use I wanted to use ABC Toys Prime, but at the same time I wanted him to look like he was in he was back on Cybertron, like he hadn't gone in Earth mode yet. Even though some characters already look like they had an Earth mode before they arrived on Earth. But I wanted it to look more alien than it looked like, oh, he's got the truck parts of an Earth-based vehicle. So, but yeah, so I heavily modified it also because I wanted him to look like as close as possible to his Fall Cybertron counterpart. And since they're both in the Aligned Continuity, I wanted his vehicle mode to look like it looked like a big old truck, like kind of like G1 look. But still, since like I really loved how the Beast Hunter's vehicle mode for Prime looked like it came from Off-World. It does not, to my knowledge, despite some doors the door that Age of Valor comes off of, it does not to me it does not. Whoa. It does not look like an Earth-based vehicle mode. It looks like a Cybertron mode. So that's why. That's my main reason why. I also saw that Good 7, Bad 13. Big shout-outs to my big supporter of the series. Big shout-outs to you, my dude. I do want to keep you shout out here because you also had a similar question. So like, what made you decide to make the series? And I kind of explained that with Big Al SM's question, but I still want to give you credit because you asked a similar question but a different look for it. Sonjo Saiyan Warrior. I have 2 questions. 1, are the Dinobots going to be in this project? And 2, is this set yeah, I can't read. Is this set at a certain point in the Transformers Prime series since it's part of the Aligned Continuity, or is it separate? Is it a separate thing from the shows, games, and books? So I kind of was already explaining that in that previous question about Prime's body, but so to answer your first question, I was kind of answering the second one already, but to answer your first question, yes, the Dinobots are going to be in this project at a later time. I'm going to be following what happens in both the comics, the books, and the video games. Even the show mentions it because like literally when they're talking about the Predacons as they were kind of like Earth's dinosaurs, Miko asks,
so then what were Dinobots?
Totally different.
That kind of makes it clear that the Dinobots weren't prehistoric beings on Cybertron. They were actually regular beings, just like Optimus, the Autobots, and whatnot, that they could transform into vehicles. But they get captured by Shockwave and experimented on and turned into the Dinobots. I'm not gonna go far in depth of what I'm gonna be doing for this particular story setup, because I want this to look as good as possible and I don't wanna spoil. But to answer your question, yes, they are going to be part of the project. And to answer your second question, is this set at a certain point in the Transformers Prime series? It is not set in the series. This is actually set way before. So to give you a broader explanation of what the story is about, Transformers Prime, Covenant of Primus is set long before the bots came to Earth, long before the War for Cybertron, and in the War for Cybertron. It's gonna start off with the birth, the dawn of creation, and this is like before the Orion Pax, who was one of the first beings to emerge from the Well of Allsparks. It's gonna start with the Primes versus Unicron. And I know y'all are gonna be excited for that. Basically, it's gonna take place in different. The reason I said like 6 or 7 seasons is because each season takes place in a certain era on Cybertron. The first is the war with Unicron. The second season takes place during the dawn of creation. And then the third season follows into the age of the Quintessons, and the fourth season follows into the War for Cybertron, and so on. We'll dive more into that a little later on, but we're not gonna talk about it a lot about it right now. It is not separate at all from the shows, games, and books. This series actually consists of elements taken from the books, from the shows, and from the video games. And they're going to be inserted right into this series, all mixed into one big, awesome, action-packed series. And to explain about for Combaticons Combine, it is mostly written from me. Like, I came up with the idea for the story, but when I was creating these particular 2 episodes, I based it from the book Transformers Exodus. In that, there's a portion where a character known as Bruticus Maximus, obviously Bruticus, goes to attack the Autobot city of Callus. And one of the biggest major victories of the Autobots was when they fended off the Decepticon army from Bruticus. And there's not a lot of story about it. There are some things that I've taken and written into it. But taking stories from the Covenant of Primus book about the Nexus Prime being the only one capable of combination, and then the book Transformers Exodus, where Shockwave had been experimenting with combiners, and then also take that scene of Callus, kind of come up with a little bit, pull up some imagination, or use my imagination, and write together this awesome story. So, to explain it, yes, it's not a separate thing. It's not a separate thing. So, it has to do with the shows, games, and books. And any reference about, any backstories that were mentioned in TFP are going to be in this series, but in a broader scale. Is Crucible in the DJD, or is he just a random Decepticon? Because it looks like he left and said, I'm no longer Helix, I am Crucible. Kaon, isn't that already your name? So, to explain, I do know this is in the comics, and so far as we know, the DJD never really existed in the Align continuity, but I'm kind of bringing them in because, dude, they took Skylynx, an Autobot, and turned him into a Predacon in Transformers Prime. So why can't we do the same for the DJD and just bring him in? Crucible is in the DJD, but this is like before he becomes Helix. Because the names given to the DJD, Tarn in his case, he took that name himself. To replace his original name, Damus. In the case of the other members of the DJD, they probably had, I know they had different names before becoming Kaon, Nickel, and then, Helix, and then I'm trying to remember his other one. I know there's the Pet. Because basically, I know the Pet has died before, and then they picked another Pet. But to answer your question, Crucible is in the DJD. I don't know if he'll leave, but basically, or if he'll follow the exact storyline of the comics, because it's my own take of the DJD in the Transformers Prime. And I know that Emperor Kumquat is doing a very different take, where they're like enhanced beings, and she has a whole different thing about it. Y'all can go check it out. I'm gonna link in the description for what she explains of her take on the DJD. It's actually really cool. I love it. Final question: if you ever go to Earth, will they be Warbatron figures? So I actually looked this up because I was like, what the hell is a Warbatron figure? I actually looked this up. It's actually really cool looking figure of Bruticus, and so it's all the Combaticons with Earth modes. So it's huge. Like, I want to get this now. To answer your question though, the Combaticons will not be going to Earth, simply because I wanted to do I'm still following the storyline of the video games, and that is that during the fight on Exodus, the Combaticons get blasted back like you do when you're fighting as Jazz, and so the aerial bots shoot him off the ship. And so you could see him going backwards towards Cybertron. I would have to believe that he stays on Cybertron. And there is going to be a unique story about that later on. But yeah, that is all the questions. Wow, we got all through those. Woo. Thank you guys so much for asking questions. I love answering this kind of stuff. I was at least hoping for a few more questions, but we got quite a bit. We got like 25 questions all within that. Or not 25. It was because there was a whole discussion thing here with what's his name? Where you at? With Crossover 101 about the studio series, and there is like a whole thing right there, and I'm excited because I might hold off on the series because of the studio series. I'll explain that in another video. But yeah, that was so fun. I loved answering all y'all's questions. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know y'all are still looking forward to Combaticons Combined Part 2. I'm not gonna be giving a exact release date or month yet, because I still gotta finish some refilming, because there were some things that I filmed that I felt lacking. Like, for instance, the trailer. I didn't release the trailer until the 28th, the 29th, and that was because of I kept like Bruticus's transformation was the main thing I wanted to show you guys in the trailer, and it just kept coming out bad, so I had to redo it, repractice it, because I wanted to release it on Christmas Eve, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. But it's okay. We now released it, and y'all loved it, and y'all are so hyped for Part 2 to come out. I'm hyped for Part 2 to come out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below what y'all are most excited for this episode. And I'm gonna be releasing some more content soon. Just gotta finish editing it and adding the special effects. But like I said, I'm working hard, busting my butt all day, every day, and just to bring y'all the best of the best. I'm not a person that settles for less, and my buddies that I work with on this project know that I am not someone who settles for less on a project. I appreciate y'all so much for watching. Thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers. I love y'all, every one of y'all, with all my heart. Thanks so much for watching. Till all are one.